The emergency lights bathed the Galactic Council chambers in crimson as the distress signal played for the third time. The voice crackling through the speakers belonged to Captain Zixlar, and even through the translation matrix his terror was unmistakable. "This is Talos 4 colony to any Galactic Council vessel. We are under attack. The Krell Dominion fleet has entered orbit. They are bombarding our settlements. Our shields are failing. We have 12,000 civilians, including 4,000 younglings. Please, anyone, we need help." The chamber fell silent as the transmission ended. Council Speaker Thelmara, her crystalline form refracting the red light into 1,000 worried fragments, clicked her mandibles together in distress. Around the circular table, representatives from 30 different species shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "The Vrixians are a peaceful people," said Ambassador Korvan, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence. "They have no military, no defenses beyond basic shields. The Krell will slaughter them." Thelmara consulted the holographic display floating before her. "Our nearest peacekeeping fleet is 3 weeks away. Even at maximum speed, the Vrixians will have—" She paused, unwilling to finish the sentence. "They will all be dead," finished Admiral Vexnor of the Thalian Empire. His scaled face showed no emotion, but his tail twitched with suppressed anger. "The Krell do not take prisoners. They want the colony's resources, and they will eliminate any claim to them." The council members exchanged grim looks. Everyone knew what the Krell Dominion represented. They were one of the galaxy's predator species, though not the strongest. They had conquered 7 systems through sheer firepower and ruthlessness. The Galactic Council had tried diplomacy, economic sanctions, even military posturing. Nothing worked. The Krell respected only strength, and they had plenty of it. Ambassador David Chen of Earth sat quietly at the newest seat on the council. Humans had joined the galactic community only 5 years ago, and they were still considered newcomers. Most species viewed them as curious oddities from a death world, brave for leaving their dangerous planet, but ultimately weak compared to the established powers. Chen raised his hand. The gesture looked strange to the other council members, but they had learned it meant humans wished to speak. "Yes, Ambassador Chen." Thelmara's tone was polite but dismissive. What could the humans possibly contribute? Chen stood, his dark suit crisp despite the late hour. He was 50 years old, with gray hair at his temples and the patient expression of someone who had spent decades in diplomacy. "Speaker, honored council members, Earth would like to offer assistance to the Vrixian colony." A ripple of surprise moved through the chamber. Ambassador Korvan leaned forward. "That is very generous, Ambassador Chen. But your homeworld is even farther from Talos 4 than our peacekeeping fleet. By the time your ships arrive—" "We can be there in 4 days," Chen said simply. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien sounds. Whistles, clicks, chirps, and vocalizations that the translation matrix struggled to keep up with. Thelmara raised her forearms for silence. "Ambassador Chen, that is impossible. Talos 4 is 60 light-years from Earth. Even our fastest ships cannot make that journey in less than 2 weeks." Chen smiled, and something about that expression made several council members uneasy. It was the smile of someone holding a secret. "Speaker, I assure you our fleet can arrive in 4 days. We have vessels already positioned along the route. They can make the journey." Admiral Vexnor studied the human carefully. "What kind of fleet are you proposing to send?" "The Krell have 30 warships in that system. Cruisers, destroyers, and at least 1 dreadnought. They outgun anything your species has shown us. With respect, Admiral, we have not shown you everything." The words hung in the air like a challenge. Thelmara's crystalline structure dimmed slightly, a sign of deep thought among her species. The humans had been peaceful since their arrival, eager to trade and learn. Their ships seemed primitive compared to galactic standards, their weapons basic. They came from Earth, a Class 12 death world, the highest danger rating in the classification system. But death worlds typically produce species that were tough survivors, not military powers. Still, something in Chen's quiet confidence gave her pause. "Ambassador Chen, what exactly are you not telling this council?" Chen met her compound eyes without flinching. "We are not telling you that humanity has been preparing for war since before we discovered fire. We are not telling you that every human ship is built for combat, even our trading vessels. We are not telling you that we have spent 5 years studying galactic military doctrine and found it lacking." The chamber went deathly quiet. Chen continued, his voice never rising above a conversational tone. "We are a young species by galactic standards. We have only been in space for a few centuries. But we have been fighting for thousands of years. On our world, we had no choice. Everything wanted to kill us. The weather, the predators, the diseases, even each other. We learned to fight or we died. This sounds very much like a threat, Ambassador, Thelmara said carefully. No, Speaker. It is an offer of help. The Vrixians need assistance. We can provide it. But I wanted you to understand what you are authorizing when you accept our aid. Ambassador Korvan shifted nervously. Perhaps we should wait for the peacekeeping fleet. Another transmission interrupted him. Captain Zixelar's voice again, this time more desperate. Tellus 4 to Galactic Council. North settlement shields have failed. Bombardment has begun. We are taking casualties. Please, if anyone can hear this. We have children in the evacuation centers. They are bombing the evacuation centers, please. The sound of explosions echoed through the speakers before the transmission cut out. Thelmara made a decision. She had not become council speaker by being indecisive, and right now, indecision meant death for 12,000 innocent beings. Ambassador Chen, on behalf of the Galactic Council, we accept your offer of assistance. But understand, this will be monitored. If humanity reveals military capabilities that pose a threat to galactic peace, we are not conquerors, Speaker. We are not the Krell. We are going to save those people and nothing more. Chen touched the communication device on his wrist. This is Ambassador Chen to Earth Command. You are authorized to deploy the 3rd Expeditionary Fleet to Tellus 4. Rules of engagement are defensive protection of civilian population. You are cleared for all necessary force. A woman's voice responded, crisp and professional. This is Admiral Okonkwo. Understood, Ambassador. 3rd Fleet will depart in 1 hour. Estimated arrival at Tellus 4 is 96 hours. We will save them, sir. I know you will, Admiral. Earth out. Chen turned back to the council. It is done. Our ships are on the way. What should we tell the Vrixians? Asked Ambassador Korvan. Chen's smile returned, but this time there was steel beneath it. Tell them the Deathworlders are coming. Tell them to hold on just a little longer. And tell the Krell. He paused, choosing his words carefully. Tell the Krell that they have made a terrible mistake. As the council chamber descended into urgent discussions about human military capabilities and contingency plans, Chen sat back down and closed his eyes briefly. He thought about Admiral Okonkwo and the men and women of the 3rd Fleet. He thought about what they were about to reveal to a galaxy that had no idea what humanity was truly capable of. The secret was about to come out. For better or worse, the galaxy was about to learn why you never ever threaten the innocent when humans are watching. 4 days. The Krell had 4 days before everything changed. The bridge of the UHNS Indomitable hummed with controlled energy as Admiral Sarah Okonkwo reviewed the tactical displays. Around her, officers worked at their stations with practiced efficiency. The ship was one of 12 capital vessels in the 3rd Expeditionary Fleet, and at this moment, all of them were accelerating at speeds that made galactic tracking stations send alarmed messages to their governments. Admiral, we are receiving another communication from Harmony Station, said Lieutenant Park, the communications officer. They are asking us to reduce speed. They say our acceleration is impossible and must be a sensor error. Okonkwo smiled without looking up from her display. She was a tall woman with dark skin and close-cropped gray hair. At 58, she had spent 40 years in the Earth Defense Forces, rising through the ranks during humanity's expansion into space. Her face bore the kind of lines that came from making hard decisions and living with them. Tell them our sensors are working fine, she said, and that they should recalibrate theirs. Park grinned and relayed the message. Around the bridge, other crew members chuckled. It was a small moment of humor in what everyone knew would be a serious situation. The truth was simple. Humans could handle acceleration that would kill most galactic species. When the Vrixians designed ships, they had to account for their relatively fragile bodies. Their ships accelerated slowly, traveled carefully, and avoided any maneuvers that might cause injury to the crew. The same was true for most species in the galaxy. Humans were different. Earth had gravity that crushed many alien visitors. The atmospheric pressure that humans considered normal would rupture the internal organs of species like the Vrixians. The radiation that Earth's sun bombarded the planet with would require most aliens to wear protective suits, and humans barely noticed it. Major Rodriguez is on the line from the marine deck, Park said. She wants to confirm the drop schedule. Put her through. The screen flickered and showed a woman in her 30s with olive skin and sharp features. Major Elena Rodriguez commanded the 3rd Fleet's Marine contingent, 3,000 of the most highly trained soldiers humanity could produce. Her left arm was cybernetic, a replacement for one lost in the border skirmishes with pirates 5 years ago. The prosthetic was more powerful and faster than her original arm, and it made her an even more effective fighter. "Admiral, my Marines are ready," Rodriguez said. "We have been drilling the Talos 4 terrain maps. The Vrixian colony has underground bunker systems. If we can establish a perimeter around the main evacuation center, we can protect the civilians while dealing with the Krell ground forces." "The Krell might not send ground forces," Okonkwo said. "They prefer orbital bombardment." Rodriguez's smile was predatory. "Then we board their ships and convince them to stop." "That is the plan, Major. Make sure your people are ready. This will be humanity's first real military action in galactic space. The whole galaxy will be watching. We will make Earth proud, Admiral." Rodriguez out. The screen went dark. Okonkwo returned her attention to the tactical display. The Krell fleet at Talos 4 consisted of 31 vessels. Their doctrine was straightforward: overwhelming firepower delivered from a safe distance. They relied on heavy shields and energy weapons. Their ships were powerful but not particularly maneuverable. Human ships were built on different principles. "Lieutenant Park, bring up the intelligence brief on the Krell." The main screen changed to show detailed information about their enemy. Park, a young man with Korean heritage and a gift for languages, had spent weeks compiling this data. "The Krell Dominion has been a galactic power for 300 years, Park began. "They have conquered 7 systems and control approximately 40 billion sentient beings. Their military is considered one of the 5 strongest in known space. They use primarily energy weapons and rely on shield technology adapted from the Thalians." Park pulled up images of Krell warriors. They were large reptilian creatures with thick scales and powerful builds. They stood 8 feet tall on average and weighed over 400 pounds. Their natural armor made them tough to kill in ground combat. "The Krell believe that might makes right," Park continued. "They have a warrior culture that respects strength above all else. They view species like the Vrixians as prey. They view humans as—" He paused. "As what, Lieutenant?" Okonkwo prompted. "As soft, Admiral. Their intelligence reports describe us as weak mammals with no natural weapons or armor. They think our gravity tolerance is our only notable feature. They do not consider us a military threat." The bridge crew exchanged glances. Dr. James Okafor, the ship's chief medical officer, happened to be on the bridge for a meeting. He laughed, a deep rumbling sound. "They think we are soft," Okafor said, shaking his head. The doctor was a large Nigerian man with hands that could perform microsurgery or break bones with equal skill. "They have no idea, do they?" "No, doctor, they do not," Okonkwo agreed. "Which is exactly how we want it." Okafor leaned against a console, his face thoughtful. "You know, I have been studying the other galactic species since we made contact. Their biology is fascinating. The Vrixians, for example, evolved on a world with 0.6 Earth gravity. Their bones are hollow like birds. Their muscles are efficient but weak by our standards. They are herbivores who never knew predation until they developed sentience." "What are you saying, Doctor?" asked Park. "I am saying that we are the products of a world that tried to kill us every single day. Our gravity builds bones like steel. Our atmosphere trained our lungs to extract oxygen with maximum efficiency. Our evolution was shaped by predators, by ice ages, by plagues that killed 90% of our ancestors. We did not just survive. We thrived. We turned it all into advantages." Okafor gestured at the crew around him. "Every human on this ship can survive injuries that would kill most galactic species. We can function in environments that would incapacitate them. We can process toxins that are lethal to others. And we do not even think about it because this is normal for us. The Krell are about to get an education in Deathworld biology," Okonkwo said quietly. "And I almost feel sorry for them. Almost." Another transmission came through from Talos 4. Captain Zixlar's voice was weaker now, exhausted from fear and stress. "This is Talos 4. Shields at 15%. The Krell are targeting our power stations. We have lost 3 evacuation centers. Casualties over 2,000. Please, if anyone is coming, please hurry. We do not have much time." The bridge fell silent. Okonkwo felt the familiar cold anger settle in her chest. It was the same feeling she had experienced during the pirate raids, during the colonies that were massacred before help arrived. She had joined the military to protect people, and she was very good at her job. Lieutenant Park sent a message to Captain Zixlar. Tell him help is coming. Tell him to move all civilians to the deepest bunkers and seal them. Tell him to hold on for 92 more hours. Yes, Admiral. Okonkwo stood and addressed her bridge crew. I want all ships running combat drills continuously until we arrive. Every weapon system checked and rechecked. Every Marine briefed and ready. When we arrive at Talos 4, I want the Krell to understand immediately what they are facing. What are they facing, Admiral? Asked a young ensign at the navigation station. Okonkwo's expression was granite. They are facing humans. They are facing a species that spent 10,000 years learning how to wage war. Because we had no choice. They are facing the children of Earth and we do not lose. The crew responded with determined nods. They knew what was at stake. This was not just a rescue mission. This was humanity's introduction to galactic warfare. Every species in known space would be analyzing their performance. As the Indomitable and her sister ships hurtled through space at impossible speeds, Admiral Okonkwo thought about Earth. She thought about her grandchildren playing in parks safe and happy. She thought about all the human colonies scattered across a dozen systems. She thought about what would happen if humanity was seen as weak. The galaxy was full of predators. The Krell were just one example. If humans did not establish themselves as protectors, as a force to be respected, then eventually someone would come for human worlds the way the Krell had come for the Vrixians. That could not be allowed to happen. The countdown timer on the tactical display showed 91 hours and 43 minutes until arrival at Talos 4. The Krell had no idea what was coming for them. The Krell command ship Destroyer of Weakness hung in orbit above Talos 4 like a predator watching its wounded prey. Commander Thraxul reviewed the bombardment results with satisfaction. His scales gleamed under the bridge lights as he examined the tactical display, showing the crumbling defenses of the Vrixian colony. Below, the eastern settlement's shields have collapsed, reported his tactical officer. Shall we begin final bombardment? Thraxul considered the question. The Krell way was total domination, leave no survivors who might harbor thoughts of revenge. But the Galactic Council had been making irritating noises about Krell expansion. Perhaps a few survivors could be allowed to live, to spread the message of Krell power. Not yet, he decided. Let them suffer a while longer. Fear is a useful tool. An alert chimed at the sensor station. Commander, we are detecting a slipspace emergence at the system's edge. Thraxul turned. The Galactic Peacekeeping Fleet. Negative, Commander. The signature is different. Reading 12 contacts. No correction, 14 contacts. The sensor officer's voice held confusion. Commander, they are accelerating toward us. Current velocity is... That cannot be right. What cannot be right? Sir, they are moving at velocities that should be impossible for vessels that size. They should be tearing themselves apart. Thraxul pulled up the sensor data himself. The officer was correct. 14 ships ranging from destroyer to dreadnought class were burning toward Talos 4 at speeds that violated every principle of safe space travel. Any crew aboard those vessels should be liquefied by the acceleration. What species? Thraxul demanded. Checking registry data now, Commander. The ships they are from Earth. Humans. A ripple of laughter moved through the bridge. The humans, the soft mammals from the death world who thought their high gravity made them special. The Krell had reviewed the intelligence reports. Humans were weak, unarmored, with pathetic teeth and no natural weapons. They had been in space for barely 300 years. They were nothing. How amusing, Thraxul said. The Council sent children to fight us. Open a channel to the lead ship. The screen flickered to show a human female in a dark blue uniform. She appeared to be in her late 50s with gray hair and eyes the color of dark ice. Her expression was professionally neutral. This is Admiral Sarah Okonkwo of the United Human Nations ship Indomitable. Krell vessels, you are ordered to cease all military operations against the Vrixian colony immediately. Withdraw your forces beyond the system boundary or we will engage. The Krell bridge erupted in roars of laughter. Thraxul silenced them with a gesture, though he was equally amused. Human Admiral, you command 14 ships. We have 31. Your vessels are smaller than ours. Your weapons are primitive. Your species is weak. Return to your death world before we add you to the casualties. The human admiral's expression never changed. Commander, this is your only warning. Withdraw or be destroyed. Thraxul cut the transmission and turned to his weapons officer. Target the human flagship. I want to send them home with their hull intact but their pride shattered. Use minimum power. But even as he gave the order, something began to feel wrong. The human ships were not slowing down. They were not maneuvering into defensive positions. They were not doing anything that made tactical sense. Instead, they continued to accelerate, hurtling toward the Krell fleet like meteors. Commander, the human ships are not reducing speed. They are on collision course. They are bluffing. No commander would sacrifice their vessels so foolishly. The distance closed rapidly. The human fleet was now 3 minutes from engagement range. Then 2 minutes. Then 1. They are firing. The sensor officer shouted. The human ships unleashed their first volley, and Thrak-Zul realized his terrible mistake. These were not energy weapons that his shields could absorb. These were railguns. Magnetically accelerated projectiles moving at a significant fraction of light speed. Tungsten rods weighing several tons each, carrying kinetic energy that made them more devastating than missiles. The first salvo struck 3 Krell destroyers. The shields, designed to deflect energy, offered almost no resistance to solid matter traveling at relativistic velocities. The projectiles punched through armor like paper, the kinetic energy converting to heat and explosive force inside the ships. All 3 destroyers simply came apart, their hulls fragmenting into debris clouds. Impossible, Thrak-Zul roared. Return fire. All vessels, maximum power. The Krell fleet opened up with their plasma cannons and ion beams. Bright lances of energy crossed space toward the human ships. But the humans were already moving, their smaller vessels executing maneuvers that should have torn them apart. They rolled, dove, and accelerated at angles that exceeded Krell maneuvering capabilities by orders of magnitude. Most of the Krell fire missed entirely. The few shots that connected splashed against the human shields, which flared but held, and then the humans were firing again. This time it was not just railguns. Missiles streaked from the human vessels, hundreds of them, each one exhibiting independent targeting and evasive maneuvers. The Krell point defense systems designed to handle conventional missile attacks were overwhelmed. The missiles moved like living things, coordinating their assault, sacrificing some of their number to create openings for others. 2 more Krell cruisers exploded. A third lost its engines and began to drift. How are they doing this? The tactical officer demanded. Their reaction times are impossible. But Okonkwo, watching from the Indomitable's bridge, knew exactly how. Humans had spent centuries perfecting warfare. Their ships were built with redundant systems, their weapons designed for maximum lethality, and their crews trained to operate at the edge of biological capability. Where other species prioritize crew comfort, humans prioritize combat effectiveness. All fighters, launch, Okonkwo ordered. From the human carriers, 200 single-pilot fighters erupted into space. They were small, fast, and agile. The Krell had nothing comparable because most species could not survive the acceleration forces required for such combat. Humans could. The pilots pulled 12 G-turns, their bodies protected by pressure suits and gel cushioning, but still subjected to forces that would have killed any other galactic species. They screamed between the Krell capital ships, their weapons tearing into vulnerable points, their tactics honed through centuries of atmospheric and space combat. Commander Thrak-Zul watched in growing horror as his fleet fell apart. In 10 minutes of combat, he had lost 8 ships. The humans had lost nothing. Not a single vessel even critically damaged. All ships concentrate fire on the human dreadnought. The entire Krell fleet focused on the Indomitable. Energy weapons blazed across space, a storm of destructive force that could vaporize a moon. The human shields flared brilliant white, overloading, beginning to collapse. Shields at 30%, reported the Indomitable's defensive officer. All ships, focus fire on the Krell command vessel, Okonkwo ordered. Marine assault teams prepare for boarding action. Admiral, their return fire is too heavy, her tactical officer warned. Then we remove their ability to fire. Send the signal. Across the human fleet, specialized assault ships launched boarding pods. These were armored capsules, each carrying 20 Marines in powered armor. They accelerated toward their targets at speeds that would liquefy unprotected humans. The Marines inside gritted their teeth against the pressure, their training in biology allowing them to stay conscious when aliens would black out. The first pods struck Krell vessels, drilling through their hulls with shaped charges. Marines poured out, moving with speed and precision through environments that should have incapacitated them. The Krell ships were pressurized with atmospheres toxic to most species. The Marines breathed it without issue, their filters handling the conversion. Krell warriors rushed to repel the boarders. They were larger, stronger, and better armored than the humans. But the humans fought with a ferocity that shocked their opponents. They used tactics born of urban warfare, room clearing, and close-quarters battle refined over millennia. They moved as coordinated units covering each other, pressing advantages ruthlessly. Major Rodriguez led a team through the corridors of a Krell cruiser. Her cybernetic arm punched through a bulkhead, pulling a Krell warrior off balance. Her rifle fired at point-blank range, the armor-piercing rounds designed specifically for heavy targets. "The Krell fell. Keep moving," she ordered. "Engine room is 3 levels down. We take control or we blow it. Either way, this ship stops firing." On the destroyer of weakness, Thraxul felt his command crumbling. Human Marines were aboard 4 of his vessels. His fleet was scattered, trying to deal with threats from every direction, and the human ships continued to pour fire into his formation with merciless accuracy. "Commander, we have lost 14 ships. We must withdraw." Thraxul stared at the tactical display. The soft mammals, the weak humans. They were destroying his fleet. How was this possible? "All ships retreat," he finally ordered, his voice bitter with defeat and disbelief. "Full withdrawal to Rally Point Karak 9. As the Krell fleet began to pull back, leaving burning wrecks and debris clouds behind, Admiral Okonkwo allowed herself a small smile. "Hold position," she ordered. "Let them run. Our priority is the colony." Across the galaxy, billions of beings watched the footage from Talos 4 with growing disbelief. The battle had been broadcast by automated sensor stations throughout the system, and now every government, every military, every intelligence agency was analyzing what they had witnessed. In the Thalian Empire's war room, General Caxthor watched the replay for the 5th time. His tactical staff stood in stunned silence as the human ships executed maneuvers that defied their understanding of physics and biology. "Pause there," Caxthor ordered. The hologram froze on an image of a human fighter pulling a turn that registered at 12 standard gravities. At this force, the pilot's internal organs should have ruptured. Their brain should have suffered catastrophic damage. Yet the fighter continues to operate at full effectiveness. "Perhaps they use AI pilots," suggested one of his officers. "No, our intelligence confirms humans in the cockpits, which means," Caxthor trailed off, uncomfortable with the conclusion, "which means they can survive forces that would kill us," another officer finished. In the Galactic Council chambers, an emergency session had been called. Speaker Thelmara addressed the assembly, her crystalline form refracting light in agitated patterns. The human fleet engaged 31 Krell vessels and destroyed 14 of them in less than 30 minutes. They suffered 0 casualties. 0. "We need to discuss what this means for galactic security." Ambassador Korvan's 6 eyes focused on Ambassador Chen, who sat calmly in the human seat. "Ambassador, your government told us that Earth had no significant military capability. You said you were explorers and traders." Chen spread his hands in a very human gesture. "We are explorers and traders. We are also survivors. We never lied about our capabilities. We simply did not advertise them. You deliberately concealed military assets, accused Ambassador Vectaran of the hegemony combine. This is a violation of the first contact protocols." "With respect," Chen replied, his voice level. "The protocols require disclosure of aggressive intent, not defensive capability. We have shown no aggression to any galactic species. We responded to a distress call. Would you prefer we had let the Vrixians die?" Before Vectaran could respond, the chamber doors opened. A small group entered and the council fell silent. At the front walked Captain Zixler of Talos 4, supported by human medical personnel. His chitinous body bore the marks of injury, hastily treated but still visible. "Captain Zixlar," Thelmara said gently, "you should be in medical care. You are not required to attend this session." "I insisted on coming, Speaker," Zixlar said, his voice weak but determined. "I needed to speak about the humans." He moved to the center of the chamber with slow, painful steps. Dr. James Okafor, who had traveled from the Indomitable to personally oversee the captain's care, hovered nearby with concern. "My people were dying," Zixlar began. "For 3 days we watched the sky rain fire. We held our children and waited for death. The council said help was 3 weeks away. We knew we would all be gone long before then. He turned slowly, looking at each council member. Then the humans arrived. They came from across the galaxy in 4 days. They faced a fleet 3 times their size, and they saved us. Zixler gestured toward the holographic display, which still showed footage from the battle. But that is not all they did. When the fighting ended, they did not celebrate. They did not demand payment. They immediately began search and rescue operations. Human medical teams came to our surface. They treated our wounded. They gave us food, water, and supplies. Dr. Okafor stepped forward. Captain Zixler has a punctured thorax and severe internal damage. By Vrixian medical standards, he should have died. Our surgical techniques and equipment saved him. We are currently treating 300 Vrixian wounded. We expect 95% survival rate. The council absorbed this information. Ambassador Chen stood. I will be honest with this council because you deserve the truth. Yes, humanity has significant military capability. Yes, we have been carefully observing and learning since we joined the galactic community. And yes, we are more dangerous than most species realized. He pulled up a holographic display. This is Earth, Class 12 Deathworld. Gravity that crushes most of you. Atmosphere that is toxic to many species. Weather patterns that would be classified as natural disasters on most worlds. And life speaker. Life that competed for survival with such intensity that only the most adaptable survived. Chen changed the image to show human history. We have records going back 10,000 years. In that time, we fought over 3,000 major wars. We developed weapons that could destroy our entire planet. We came within hours of wiping ourselves out multiple times. We are not proud of this history, but we learned from it. He turned to face the council directly. We learned that strength prevents conflict, that weakness invites predation, that the only way to ensure peace is to make war too costly for aggressors. The Krell understand this now. They will not attack Vrixian colonies again. And what about other colonies? Demanded Vecteran. What about our colonies? Are we now at the mercy of human military dominance? You were always at the mercy of someone's military dominance, Chen replied bluntly. Before today it was species like the Krell. Now you have another option. Admiral Okonkwo's image appeared on the communication screen, transmitting from the Indomitable. Council members, this is Admiral Okonkwo. I wish to address your concerns. The Third Fleet is currently establishing orbital defense platforms around Talos 4. These will remain active until the Galactic Peacekeeping Force arrives. We are also deploying engineering teams to help rebuild the damaged settlements. She pulled up tactical data. During the battle, we captured several Krell vessels intact. Marines boarded and secured them. The Krell crews are currently detained in humane conditions and will be handed over to galactic authorities for processing according to your laws. Thelmara studied the human admiral. You captured enemy vessels? Most species destroy them to eliminate threat. Most species do not use boarding tactics, Okonkwo replied. We do. Our Marines are trained for ship-to-ship combat. We find capturing enemy assets provides valuable intelligence and reduces casualties on both sides. On the main display, footage played of human Marines inside a Krell vessel. The Marines moved with frightening efficiency, their weapons precise, their tactics coordinated. One scene showed a wounded Krell warrior being given medical treatment by the same humans who had just fought him. Why? Asked Ambassador Corvin, pointing at the image. Why treat enemy wounded? Major Rodriguez appeared in a smaller window. Her armor was still scorched from combat. Because they stopped fighting. Because our job is to win the battle, not to be cruel. We are warriors, not murderers. The council chamber filled with discussion. Some species expressed fear at human capabilities. Others saw opportunity. The galactic community had spent centuries trying to manage aggressive species like the Krell through diplomacy and economic pressure. With limited success, Chen let them talk for several minutes before speaking again. The council faces a choice. You can view humanity as a threat, in which case you will find yourselves constantly worried about what we might do. Or you can view us as partners, as a species that has capabilities you need but principles you can trust. How can we trust you? Thelmara asked quietly. You hid your strength. How do we know you will not use it against us? Chen pointed to Captain Zixlar. Ask him. Ask the Vrixians we saved. We had the power to conquer them, to take their world, to demand anything we wanted. What did we do? We protected them. We treated their wounded. We asked for nothing in return. Dr. Okafor added his perspective. I have been a doctor for 30 years. I took an oath to preserve life. Every human in our medical corps took the same oath. We saved Vrixian lives today. Tomorrow, if another species needs help, we will save them too. This is who we are. Speaker Thelmara was quiet for a long moment, her crystalline structure pulsing with internal light as she thought. Finally she spoke. Ambassador Chen, the Council will need time to discuss this development. But I have a question. What does humanity want? The same thing we have always wanted, Speaker. To explore. To learn, to trade, to be part of the galactic community, but also to protect those who cannot protect themselves. We have the capability. We believe we have the responsibility. And if the Council says no, if we demand you reduce your military assets, Chen's expression was respectful but firm, then we would respectfully decline. We do not dictate to you how to defend yourselves. We ask the same courtesy. But I will say this, Speaker. The Krell fleet that attacked Talos 4 was one of their smaller forces. They have 3 more fleets, each twice that size. The Hegemony Combine has been expanding into neutral space. The Krath Collective has been building planet-killer weapons. Your peacekeeping forces are stretched thin across dozens of sectors. He leaned forward. You need us. Not as conquerors, not as overlords, but as partners, as the species willing to do the hard things when necessary. We are offering to help protect this galaxy. The question is whether you are willing to accept that offer. The Council session continued for hours. But in orbit around Talos 4, the work had already begun. Human engineering teams worked alongside Vrixian civilians to rebuild. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Talos 4, and the galaxy had changed in ways both subtle and profound. Admiral Sarah Okonkwo walked through the rebuilt Vrixian settlement, observing the construction with satisfaction. Where Krell bombardment had left craters and ruins, new buildings now stood. Human engineers had worked alongside Vrixian builders, sharing technology and techniques. The settlement looked different now, stronger, designed to withstand future attacks. Captain Zixlar approached, moving without pain for the first time in months. Dr. Okafor's treatments had fully healed his injuries. Admiral Okonkwo, welcome back to Talos 4. We hoped you would attend the memorial ceremony. I would not miss it, Captain. They walked together toward the central plaza where a monument had been erected. It was a simple structure, elegant in its design. Made of both Vrixian crystal and earthstone, it bore the names of the 2,000 Vrixians who had died during the Krell attack. We added something, Zixlar said, gesturing to an inscription at the base. I hope you do not mind. Okonkwo read the words, translated into multiple languages including English. In memory of those we lost, and in gratitude to those who saved us. When the galaxy turned away, the humans came. They are our friends forever. It is perfect, Okonkwo said quietly. The ceremony was simple but moving. Vrixian families spoke about their lost loved ones. Children left flowers and small crystals at the monument, and when Captain Zixlar invited Admiral Okonkwo to speak, she chose her words carefully. We came because it was the right thing to do, she said. We stayed because you needed help. We will always remember those who died here, and we promise that we will work to make sure such tragedies happen less often in the future. After the ceremony, Okonkwo returned to her shuttle. Lieutenant Park was waiting with updates. Admiral, Ambassador Chen wants to speak with you. He says the Galactic Council has reached a decision. The transmission came through as the shuttle lifted off. Chen appeared on the screen, looking satisfied but tired. The past 6 months had been intense for him. Endless negotiations and debates. Admiral, I wanted you to hear this directly from me. The Galactic Council has voted to create a new peacekeeping role. They are calling it the Rapid Response Force, and they have asked humanity to lead it. Okonkwo felt a complex mix of emotions. Pride, certainly, but also the weight of responsibility. What are the terms? Human vessels will be stationed in key sectors throughout galactic space. We will have authority to respond to distress calls without waiting for Council approval, but we must report all actions within 24 hours. Other species can volunteer ships to join the force operating under human command structure. And the Council accepted human command? Okonkwo asked, surprised. Chen smiled. Not easily. But 3 things convinced them. First, our response time to Talos 4 demonstrated superior logistics. Second, our combat effectiveness speaks for itself. Third, and perhaps most important, we treated the Krell prisoners humanely and handed them over for proper legal proceedings. That showed we respect galactic law even in war. What about the Krell? What happened to them? That is actually interesting. The Krell Dominion sent a formal peace proposal. They are willing to withdraw from 2 of their conquered systems and pay reparations to the Vrixians. In exchange, they want a non-aggression treaty with humanity. Okonkwo raised an eyebrow. They are afraid of us. Terrified is more accurate. Commander Thraxul survived the battle. He has been telling everyone who will listen about human capabilities. The Krell military is reorganizing their entire doctrine to account for human tactics. Other species are doing the same. Is that good or bad? Chen considered the question. Both, I think. Good because it means fewer conflicts. Species that might have started wars are reconsidering. Bad because some are now seeking to match our military strength, which could lead to an arms race. Over the following weeks, the transformation became more visible. Human ships began deploying across multiple sectors. The UHNS Vigilant took position in the contested border zone between the Hegemony Combine and the Thalian Empire, where tensions had been building for years. Within days of arrival, both sides backed down from military exercises that had been escalating toward conflict. The UHNS Guardian established patrol routes in the shipping lanes that had been plagued by piracy for decades. The first pirate group to attack a convoy found themselves facing human marines. The survivors spread the word quickly. Piracy in that sector dropped by 80% within a month, but not everything went smoothly. In the Krath Collective, a militant faction viewed human military power as a threat to their own expansion plans. They began developing weapons specifically designed to counter human tactics. Intelligence suggested they were researching biological weapons tailored to human physiology. Major Elena Rodriguez, now promoted to colonel and commanding the 1st Interspecies Special Operations Unit, led a raid on a suspected Krath weapons facility. Her team included not just humans but volunteers from 6 other species, all trained in human combat doctrine. The raid was surgical and precise. They secured the facility, confiscated the weapons research, and captured the lead scientists without a single casualty on either side. The Krath government, embarrassed by the rogue faction, publicly thanked the human-led team and promised tighter oversight. "This is what I hoped for," Rodriguez said in her mission report. "Not humans doing everything alone, but humans teaching others how to protect themselves. Working together." In the Galactic Council chambers, Ambassador Chen faced his final major challenge. A faction led by Ambassador Vectaran was pushing for strict limitations on human military deployment. They argued that while humanity had proven trustworthy so far, too much power concentrated in one species was dangerous. "You make a valid point, Ambassador Vectaran," Chen said calmly. "Power without oversight is dangerous. That is why I am proposing the creation of an oversight committee, representatives from multiple species who have full access to human military operations. They can review our actions, question our decisions, and report to the Council." Vectaran seemed surprised by the offer. "You would submit to such oversight?" "Of course. We are not seeking dominance. We are seeking partnership. Oversight ensures accountability. It also protects us from false accusations." Speaker Thelmara, who had been listening carefully, clicked her mandibles in approval. "This is wise, Ambassador Chen. It shows maturity and understanding. The Council accepts your proposal." The vote was not unanimous, but it was decisive. Humanity's role as the galaxy's primary military responder was formalized, but with checks and balances that satisfied most concerns. Admiral Okonkwo received the news while aboard the Indomitable, now designated flagship of the Rapid Response Force. She gathered her senior staff for a meeting. "We have been given a great responsibility," she told them. "The galaxy is trusting us to protect the innocent without becoming tyrants ourselves. That trust is easily lost and difficult to regain." Dr. Okafor, who had been appointed Chief Medical Officer for the entire force, spoke up. "How do we ensure we stay true to our principles?" "By remembering where we came from," Okonkwo replied. "By remembering what it felt like to be weak, to be afraid, to need help. By treating every species with the same respect we want for ourselves." She pulled up a star map showing human deployments across galactic space. Red dots marked areas of conflict. Blue dots showed human vessels. The red dots were becoming fewer each week. "This is working," Lieutenant Park observed. "Crime is down. Border disputes are being resolved diplomatically. The Krell have not attacked anyone in 6 months. It is working because people see what happens when they break the peace," Rodriguez said. "But also because we are not just warriors. We are also builders, healers, teachers. We show both sides of humanity, Okonkwo nodded. That balance is critical. We must be strong enough to deter aggression, but gentle enough that people see us as protectors, not conquerors. A new transmission arrived from Earth. The President of the United Human Nations appeared on screen. Admiral, I wanted to personally congratulate you and your entire fleet. The third expeditionary has been awarded the Galactic Service Medal, the first humans to receive this honor. Thank you, Madam President, but the medal belongs to everyone who served, from Marines to medical staff to engineers. Agreed. And speaking of which, the Council has formally requested that we establish a military academy to train personnel from other species. They want to learn from us. After the transmission ended, Okonkwo stood and walked to the viewport. Outside, Talos 4 gleamed peacefully in the light of its sun. Human patrol ships moved in precise orbits, watchful but not threatening. She thought about the journey that had brought them here. The distress call that started everything. The battle that revealed human capabilities. The difficult months of negotiation and trust building that followed. Okonkwo thought about Earth, her homeworld. The planet that had tried to kill humanity for millions of years and instead forged them into survivors. The world that taught them to fight, to endure, to never give up. Now humanity was using those lessons not to conquer, but to protect. Not to dominate, but to serve. Her communication officer interrupted her thoughts. Admiral, we are receiving a distress call from the Pelori system.